All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Here we go, Peter. We're on episode number 331. My goodness. Obviously today is Thanksgiving. If you're listening to us live, if you're not listening to us live, you don't know that. So I went to my daughter's house last night to drop off some food because we were supposed to go do something this morning, which we're not doing, which is why we're here. And I was telling her about how I wanted to record the podcast this morning on Thanksgiving so we can get a bunch of listeners that are just hanging around the house that are waiting for the parade, right? On TV. Yep. She said to me, what podcast are you on, Dad? I'm like, we're going to record 331 tomorrow. She goes, oh my goodness, that's hard to believe. She goes, I'm like, yeah, you think it's hard to believe. 331 episodes.
It's even making her feel old. She's young.
She's 31 years old.
She's starting to worry, like, wait a minute, am I getting old too? Help.
Speaking of old, Peter, Excuse
me.
The name of today's podcast is How to Actually Retire Early Using Creative Real Estate. We talk about it, but today I want to nail it down.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the description. Is it actually possible to retire early and wealthy without a care in the world? So you can pick up and fly wherever you want? Laugh at Social Security because you see retirement fund balances that easily support your lifestyle. A point in life where you have freedom to enjoy life. Not lack of responsibility, like when you go on vacation, but true freedom to author your own life's destiny. Maybe it is you wanting to spend more time with loved ones, play more golf, spend more time at church, or with charities. Point is, you wake up in the morning with total financial peace. So you can do what you want, when you want, without any restrictions. This podcast is to help those who are suffering from not being able to retire early and how to overcome the agony and stress of trying to figure it out using creative real estate. Use this 15-point checklist to get you from point zero to hero without actually disrupting the life you already live until you get everything in place to retire early. Some big promises there, huh?
I think you ticked all the boxes off.
there are such things.
Bill's been listening to us.
You have been surveying a lot lately.
Yeah. No.
Actually, to be honest with you, I'm learning out loud because I have just recently, because of some things that have happened in my life, actually just plain raw decided I had enough. And I need to ramp it up.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things in my life that have been aggravating me and I don't need to have them there. And I'm just going to so I figure the best way for me to ramp it up, which I have another podcast I wrote it's podcast number 333, which nails it. I can't wait.
Can we do that one today then?
No.
You're such a tease.
Yeah. So Topher G says, what's up, Bill and Pete? Happy Thanksgiving. Love the dedication. Much appreciated. Chris from Reading, PA. Chris, you're welcome.
That's right.
And it is not dedication, my friend. I'm sorry to say that. It's true love.
Wow.
We freaking love real estate. At least I do. I freaking love real estate. So I have no problem being here and helping you, man. All right. Let's do some house cleaning or housekeeping. I always get stuck with that. Yeah. So first
We're
of
all,
all,
do the house cleaning later for Thanksgiving, but right now,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. So obviously every Thursday morning, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, we actually record the podcast. And when we do, we live stream it onto Facebook, onto YouTube and Twitter. But we didn't talk about Twitter too much these days until just recently, because obviously there's a new owner there. And I think we'll get more coverage there. We were getting restricted before, but now we're not getting restricted. So you could go on to any one of those platforms, probably YouTube or Facebook, and you could actually put in the comment section or down below I don't know what it's called on Facebook. I forgot what it's called. I think it's comment section too. But you can put your questions in underneath the video where we're at, and we can see them and we can respond. I only ask that you ask questions about the podcast, not other things, because we're here on a time constraint, and I like to make sure we get everything out. I have a scripted agenda in front of me. So if you have other questions about creative real estate, go to flippinghousesforrickies.com. There are a lot of free stuff there. Also, there's a support ticket. If you send a support ticket, that will come directly to me, and I will do my best to be able to answer your question. As well as you can go on WhatsApp Messenger, and you can seek out Let's Talk Real Estate. And there's a free group that I have there with, I don't know, it's 100 and something people, I think, last time I looked. I'm not sure. I might be under that. But there's a place there where you can ask questions to the general public. It's all like-minded real estate investors that either have done deals or want to do deals. It's a whole mix of people in there. Okay? Last thing is, make sure you like us or dislike us based on your opinion. In other words, give us a review and subscribe. So when we pop on the air, you know we're here. Okay? So just subscribe to wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Okay? And then the podcast actually gets released or syndicated, as we call it, on Monday mornings, and on whatever platform you so desire to listen to us. So Alan says, happy Thanksgiving. New to the podcast and real estate investing. Thank you all for what info you provide. You're welcome, and you are in a pretty cool podcast today, my friends. So let's see if we can dazzle your imagination. Okay? So here we go, Peter. Ready to actually get the business out of the way and start doing our stuff.
Let's do it.
So we have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to dig right in. No fluff today. First thing you need to know to retire early with creative real estate is to know what causes you to not succeed. So you can spot it and fix it when it happens. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through a couple of the things that you are doing or shouldn't be doing, the conflicts, and then I'm going to go through our quick formula, and then towards the end of the show, I'm going to go through the 15-point checklist. So what I suggest you do if you're listening now, while you're listening to the first part of the podcast, you grab some paper and pencil, and you can get so you can write down the checklist. If you can't do that, I put a link in the description of wherever you're watching us or listening to us, and I put the full checklist there. So you can actually use it and do it. Not only did I, because towards the end, I'm just going to give you the checklist, but I'm going to tell you what to do, not how to do it. But the link has the how to do it. Okay, so if you go into the description, I put it all there. Okay. So in the last couple of podcasts, we covered in great detail in podcast number 328 and 329 and 330. There were 3 of them. A lot of stuff about what we're talking about today. So some of this stuff I'm going to go back. 330. I'm not going to read them to you. Yeah. So maybe I won't. So like 328 was 3 great rookie conflicts in real estate today. 329 was genius and simple creative real estate offer theory exclusively revealed. That was going over offers, right? And then 330 was how to plan your creative real estate activity to suit your comfortability. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So those were those. So even though I covered all that there, the highlights that I want to bring out today, which by the way, you should go listen to all 3 of those episodes. Even if you have listened to them once, you should listen to them again, right? because there was a lot of information there. Those 3 podcasts there was a lot of information there, right? And so just listen to them one at a time. Go back and listen to all 3 of those. Listen to 28, 328, 329, 330, and then 331 simultaneously, and you'll get the whole concept instead of bits and pieces of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the point that I want to bring up today is the 3 creative real estate conflicts everyone runs into when trying to either do a deal or mostly retire from real estate. Because let's face it, Peter, you and I have done our share of events, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have done our share of podcasts. I mean, we have almost 2 million downloads on our podcast, 330 episodes of an hour a piece. So there's a lot of content there. I do coaching. I do coaching for other people as well, right? So we're in the mix with rookies. We hear, I do surveys. I have an email list. We just came out with a new software called Creative REI Reply that does all the work for you. So I do support tickets on there. So there's a lot of feedback from our listeners, right?
Yep.
And I think you would agree. And if you don't, please tell me you don't agree. Obviously, don't do it just because you're here. But I think you would agree there's not a single person that we don't run into that isn't looking to retire early.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't want to work less? I mean, not to say that we should all just sit around. We need to work. We need to be productive. But why do it for the rest of your life, to the end?
So just like the description, like when we talked about the description, it was like how to spend more time with loved ones, right? Play more golf, spend more time at church or with charities. Point is, you wake up in the morning with financial peace.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you would think that if you understood, like somebody like you, if you looked at my life, you're like, Bill, you don't live that way. Well, actually, you and I do live that way. We do live that way. The problem is we're still active and we want to do more. So we still need money. There's things we want to do for the church. There's still things that, for me, I still want to do things for the church. I'm still building a business, so I need money for that. But if I wanted to, during COVID, I mean, I rearranged my portfolio. If I wanted to, and I didn't spend the money that I'm spending to work and live today, I could cut back my expenses. It's just my work expenses. It's not my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And I could just stop. But I'm only 59 and I'm not ready to stop. So I keep churning because I want to do more. I want to do more for the church. I want to do more for charity. I want to do more for mankind. I want to do more for my grandkids. I want to do more, just stuff like that. It's not because I want to buy a new car or buy a new house. Believe me, I'm happy with my little Nissan. The guys at the cigar shop bust my chops all the time because I have this little Nissan that I just love, and I have an older truck that I love, and
And
I don't need.
And Bill's a big guy. You should see him get in and out.
Yeah. I don't need any of this stuff. But the point is that I have chosen those decisions based on my creative real estate, right? And I'm going to go through with you today the realizations that I have gone through. My wife had cancer in 2017, and even though it wasn't terminal, in my eyes, there were many mornings I went into her room and I didn't think she was still living, because I took care of her. And it was a great shift for me because I couldn't work. I had to take care of her. I mean, she had throat cancer and couldn't eat. So every 2 hours she had a tube in her stomach and I had to go in and feed her and give her medicine. And the last treatment that she had with chemo, she was unconscious 20 hours a day. I had everything I could do to get her up to go to the bathroom. So I was her caregiver, and it just readjusted my way of thinking. Like before then I was making money and I was doing good, but I was working. So since 2017, I've completely been on the I need to retire program. So this is not something that I read in a book or something that I'm like imagining. This is something I work on to this day. I mean, Peter, how old are you?
I'm 72.
And you want to retire. I mean, technically you have. I mean, you've done pretty good. The money that we made the last couple of years has allowed you to live comfortably and do things you wanted to do. And it definitely changed your life, right? Now you want to do more. because you need to replenish some of that cash. So you're working on it, right? But you did have the retirement life for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, I took the summer off 2.5 months and took off. But, you know, there's another point to this that I think is real that you're not mentioning. There's a lot of people who don't have jobs like us. We don't mind doing this. This isn't like, oh my God, I got to do real estate today. Most people have jobs they do not like. You know, per survey, they don't like them. So this isn't just you can stop. This is you can transition. I know people who technically retired from their jobs and they're busier than ever, but they're doing things that they like. That's a huge difference. Just that.
Yeah. So the point is this morning, just like what I said, I mean, I don't feel like I work at all. I mean, we're working right now and I love what I do.
I'm sitting on my chair in my room. I could pick up the ukulele and play a song if you need, you know. Next time you do your last podcast, Bill goes, okay, we're going to take a minute for you to think about that and write that all down. I was going to pull it out and go, dude, I was going to just play some I wasn't ready so I can do it yet. But, you know, I'm sitting in my own home. This isn't terrible. I have to get up, go to the office, and I want to work from, you know, it's different. So that's a difference that you may not think of, Mr. Hawthorne, because you don't live that life of, you know, clocking in at 8 or 9 in the morning.
I haven't for 30 years.
Hating it. Most people do that. And if they don't hate it, they sure don't like it. So just shifting to this is a much better lifestyle.
And the reason why people pick real estate is because real estate is the one very few things. In fact, I don't know of any other thing other than a business, but I'll get to that in a second. But it's the one thing where you can work hard or work once and get paid multiple times.
Yep.
Not many things do that. Now, a business, you could do that, but man, you got to work for 10 years to make it that way, or 5 years, or, you know, you have to have good staff. And all it takes is one person to quit, and it could disrupt the whole thing. Now, obviously, if you've built businesses where you have multiple locations and managers below you and all that, then yeah. But that's
how many people do that? All the listeners like, oh yeah, line up. But that's not easy. That's a whole other story.
You know, the owner of Macy's department store is not going to get up every morning to make sure that there's lights turned on and the doors open. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's
all right. So, yeah, that's right. All right. So the 3 creative real estate conflicts everyone has when they're trying to do anything, whether it's just do a deal or retire early, are your offers are bad or unbalanced. 2, you don't have enough outflow or leads. And 3, too many distractions in your world or in your space, in your workspace, or in your life. Right? So we covered those in great detail, so I'm not going to do them now. The one that I do want to cover is your offers are bad or unbalanced, right? Yeah. That means the seller is asking a price or asking something that doesn't work for you. Vice versa, you're making an offer that doesn't work for the seller.
Sure.
So I'm going to tell you that is very easily stated here, but it is what most rookies thrive for, is the deal structuring, how to balance the deal structuring so the seller and the buyer agree. And I personally have fixed that. It's been a passion of mine for years, and my other partner Sean Shirk has helped me with it. So as of this week, in Creative REI Reply, which is the software that we developed for creative real estate, actually has a calculator in it that does this for you. So where I would have to train an acquisition manager for a year, I can now train them in about 45 minutes, and they're making offers for me. Right? So
yeah, and that translates to us. Instead of taking a year to figure out how to do it, how to make the deals, and what kind of deal should it be, and what if I do the wrong deal, just as you use it, you know you're on the right track.
You're taking my 30 years worth of experience and I'm making the offers for you with the calculator. Okay, so that's what I mean by offers, and I'm not here to pitch Creative REI Reply. I'm just telling you, not enough outflow. That is number one. That is number one when I'm coaching. That means that you have a scarcity mentality. You don't have enough choices for decisions you need to make. So you're staying you're not outflowing enough. You're not talking to enough people. You're not creating enough leads. You're not getting enough suggestions from sellers and buyers, right? And then too many distractions. I'm not even going to talk about that because as far as I am concerned, that is the problem. I mean, I've had coaching clients come on, pay me a lot of money, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and a month later walk away from all that money because their parents got sick, and I understand it, but kids this and wives that and husbands this and work, job, cars. It's just amazing how easily life interjects, which is kind of strange to me because my description of this is if you had, say your universe was, say, a 3-inch circle, and I'm not saying you're small, I'm just saying, just for an example, was a 3-inch circle, and everything you did was inside of that 3-inch circle.
Okay.
And then you decide to expand to a 5-inch circle. So there's 2 inches that are new to you, right? Because you opened up your anchor points, right? You opened up your sphere. You went from 3 inches to 5 inches.
Yep.
What most people don't realize is that extra 2 inches is unfamiliar territory, and it makes for confusion and mistakes and problems. And most people, when the problems start happening, they're like, oh, I shouldn't have expanded. I better contract because it was a mistake, because look at all the problems I'm causing. When really all it was is that 2 inches is unfamiliar territory. You just need to keep putting order in. You just need to keep working on it and take command of that 2 inches. And most people don't go through that transition. So when they go into creative real estate, it's a new sphere. It's like that extra 2 inches, and it creates turmoil. And they tend to pull back or introvert, and they shouldn't. They should keep putting order in. They should keep putting creative real estate in, put creative real estate, keep putting, and then eventually you'll have command over that 5 inches and want to do another 2 inches, right?
That's right.
That's how you expand, right? So what I'm saying is that I've helped a lot of folks try to retire early, and when I investigate the ones who don't make it, that leave early or try to abandon the program, it always, which is how I figured these 3 conflicts out, it always comes down to one of these 3 or all of these 3. Making bad offers or unbalanced offers, not enough outflow, or too many distractions in life. And I will tell you, a vast majority, like 90-something percentile, it's always number 3.
Yep, I've seen it too. It's funny when you come up with something like that, the 3 things, the 4 things, the 5 things. I've heard other people do things in various parts of life, and I always wonder, like, how do they know for sure that's what it is? And I always try to study people that can tell that's right, or I test it myself. But what you just said, I thought about it backwards. So to verify, if you don't get that distracted that you can get some work done, and you'll do enough outflow, and then you'll have enough good offers. You have to make properties. Right. You have to, because you're not distracted, so you can work, and you're doing the outflow so you get people to talk to, and you do good offers, you will buy property. So reversing that shows me that it's got to work. And if it doesn't, one of those is out. And that's, to me, looking at backwards is a kind of a sequence, but it makes sense.
So let's take advantage of what you just said, and let's take advantage of today. So if you're an American, if you are American, today is your day. It's Thanksgiving. It's a national holiday. You can author your day today any way you want. You can do whatever you want. December 25th is Christmas, right? So now pay attention to what I'm telling you. You time blocked today, meaning Thanksgiving. You time blocked Christmas. The way you time blocked it was you put it in your schedule and said, I'm not working because I don't have to show up to work today, no matter what you do, right? even I mean, there's essential people and stuff that have to work, so I don't want to discredit that. But most of the people don't have to work today, right? So you time block the day. So you have the day off to do what? Most people spend it with family. Christmas is the same way.
Yep.
Imagine waking up every day having those choices. Every day was a Thanksgiving or a Christmas. Literally. And oh yeah, by the way, it's you. Only you could make the decisions to have distractions come in your room. I have an office in my house. My wife comes through that door and I reject her as fast as she hits that door. She has to text me to say, I'm coming to your office before she can come in my office. And that's my wife. And I love my wife to death. And I'm not some mean, like, you know, Grinch. What is it? What do they call him?
Grinch? The Grinch?
No. What's the guy to see with the goat?
Scrooge.
I'm not some Scrooge. It's just that, like, I write a lot. I write probably some weeks I write 20,000 words a week, right? And when I'm in a thought and somebody walks in and interrupts my thought, it affects you people because it just affects everything. I could be making a video, like right now I could be recording and somebody walk in and they would disturb me. It's like
you don't do that all day long because you have hours put aside. You have times when you're upstairs and there's family time, but when it's work time, it's like if you're at work. You know, if you're at work, does the boss let you have personal conversations? Hey, are you on the phone with your wife? Get back to work, right?
Right.
So you have to have that same discipline when you're on your own. And that's not easy because you don't have a boss yelling at you you have to be your own boss yelling at yourself. Well, who likes to yell at themselves?
Right. So we got completely distracted there because we're talking about distraction. Hopefully that helped, folks.
It worked. We proved the point.
All right. The next critical thing you need to know about how to retire early is using this formula in real estate. Now, before you know the formula, and you might think it's too simple, but the simplest things are what stick the longest. But before I state it, I want you to understand, and this is the part of the formula that we don't talk about. So here it is. Your entire life, your thought, your intention, your belief, and goals. So what does that cover? That covers a lot.
That covers all your forward, I'm going to fill in the blanks.
It's all your attention and focus. Your entire life, thought, intention, belief, and goal should be to find deals that have these three functions. If you don't do it, you will not retire early. You will not retire early. Number one, the deal should have money now. Number two, the deal should have money monthly. And number three, the deal should have money later. That is a Bill's Planet law. You cannot retire unless you have real estate doing that. Now, that means when you buy real estate, the day that you buy it, you must have equity. And you must have a cash flow strategy. Now, like right now, I have a couple properties that I'm putting money into them. I have one in Akron, Ohio. I have one in Meriden, Connecticut. I mean, I have a two-family I just bought. It had 4 bedrooms on the second floor. And so far, we have filled a 40-yard dumpster and a 30-yard dumpster of crap in this apartment.
Unbelievable.
I'm spending money by the thousands. And then we got to paint it and patch walls and put in the kitchen cabinet. It's like all this work. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I know by the time I get to January 1st, it turns into $1,400 a month. My mortgage is only $660, and I have $1,300 a month on the first floor. So I got, $2,700 a month coming in on a property I'm paying less than $1,500 a month for. cash flow.
Yep.
Also, you want to make sure you have equity. Unless you're doing a sandwich lease option transfer, you invent your equity, but there is equity there. Right? So many rookies are worried about market change and, what if you do a lease option at the end of the 2 years, the property's not worth it. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's a lease option. You walk away from it. So what? So you collect cash for 2 years and you walk away from it, which you shouldn't have to do, because if the market goes down, your house is not the only property that went down in value. The whole market went down.
Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity. You can renegotiate with people. Life changes. You can this changed. Like our morning just changed. You called me 10 of 9. Want to do the podcast today? Your plans change, so we change, and people have to change along with it. Things don't stay the same.
All right, so now watch this. This is the magic, Peter. This is, as far as I'm concerned, too simple for people to be able to really make it about their entire life, their thought, intention, belief, and goal in life. They don't. It's too simple. They won't do that. Money now means you can pay those ugly debts, get a new car loan, or get a new car, not a new car loan, get a new car, go on vacation, whatever your heart desires. The point is you choose what to do with these chunks of dough. Now, here's what happens. You buy a property with equity, right? Say we buy a property taking over the mortgage. We call that subject to, right? We sell the property on a rent to own, which is what we prefer to do. When we do that, we get an option consideration deposit, usually about 5%. So I sell $200,000 properties, and I get about $10,000 to $15,000 down on the option consideration deposit, which is non-refundable and no landlording.
Yep,
that's the money down. So you get chunks of dough. The least amount you should get, I think, is $5,000. Some people do it for $3,000. But if you do the sandwich lease option deal that I talk about all the time, you can get $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, and not even stay in the deal. Right. But you're only getting money now. You're not getting money later, because the way the deal is structured, right?
Yeah, but that's better than no money, because most people look at those deals. There's no equity. We can't buy it. My first seminar, what are you going to do with that? A crowd of 80 people will look and scratching their heads and like, how do you buy that? There's no equity. How do you buy and sell and make any money? And you can make $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 with that. So take it and run. Spend a few hours, a few days. You're done.
Right. And the secret there that we never reveal, the secret there is we're not charging, the seller's not paying the closing costs. The buyer is. And that's how we make our money. And then we do the closing and get paid for it. That's how we do it. Right? Money monthly means you can fire your boss. The trick is, if you need $4,000 a month to live, then you get $6,000 a month in positive income from your properties. So there's a $2,000 per month cushion to cope with weirdness like non-payers, broken houses, or just plain old reserves like we have done.
Yep.
For any problems that come along later. Now think about this. If you had 12 properties, and I arbitrarily picked the number 12, and I'm going to come back to this in a minute because it was slapped in my face on a support call the other day, very nicely, right? Really? So actually Sean did it. So think about this. Okay. If you had 12 properties, each earning $500 a month in cash flow, which is low for us, by the way, because the way we cash flow is we cash flow on the rent, the difference between what we're paying and what we collect, but we also have a down payment assistance program and get them to pay extra money per month towards their down payment. And we raise those $500 to $800, $900, $1,000 a month in positive cash flow.
Yep.
In any event, if you just did $500 a month, you would earn $6,000 a month. Right? With 12 properties. So the question is, how long before you get $6,000 a month coming to you so you can retire?
That depends on the three problems we have that you just talked about.
Right. Exactly right. Those distractions are what's holding you back. Mm-hmm. So money later is your real estate and retirement nest egg. So once you start seeing how you could stack up equity or your profit on each deal from 30 grand to 300 grand per deal, it doesn't take long, less than 6 years usually, to live comfortably in early retirement. Right? Now, I just said 6 years. This is where I got slapped in the face the other day because it really doesn't work that way. 6 years is if you were to do 1 or 2 deals a year.
Yeah.
Because your life is full of distractions and you're giving bad offers and you're not doing enough outflow. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm not selling it, and I don't care if you want to hang up on me now, that's fine. Creative REI Reply. You go in there, you pay the money, you get in there. It's not expensive. You pay your monthly fee. Every single day, we put leads, motivated sellers into your account, hook them to campaigns that we use successfully. They get texted, they text you back. We have a script that you call them up and you say, here's the script. The script is right on the screen in Creative REI Reply. You type in the answers in the calculator and you push a button and it tells you which one of my 7 deals you can do. You click on the deal, the deal like subject to. It takes you to the calculator on the right side of the numbers. On the left side is a checklist of all the things you need to go over with the seller. Once they agree to all that, you push a save button. It automatically sends them a memorandum with all the numbers on it and what they need to do, and you have them sign it. You're done. I'm telling you, where you were doing years worth of study trying to figure out which deal to do first, what deal to do second, how to make the offers, I've just eliminated it. The calculator does all the work. So you could you could buy the software today and tomorrow be making offers. So I've eliminated 2 of the 3 conflicts. I've eliminated the first one, which is making bad offers. Well, you don't have to worry about making bad offers. I'm making the offers for you. And I've eliminated the outflow because I'm giving you leads. And I have testimonial after testimonial after testimonial, dozens of testimonials with people saying, I don't know where you're getting these leads, but I'm closing them. And I have never done a deal. I've been doing this for 10 years and couldn't do a deal. And I all of a sudden have a deal within a week because we give you the right leads. And when I say we give you the right leads, we take a motivated seller and we put them in the right marketing campaign. So the seller's situation and how we talk to them is congruent. We're not calling somebody up that has a $400,000 pretty house and say, you want to wholesale it? We aren't doing that, right? Which, by the way, we like to deal with pretty houses all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, going back to now I'm telling you to do 2 deals a year will take you 6 years. Because that'll be 12 deals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it really doesn't work that way because it shouldn't take 10 years. And here's why. Once you do 1 deal, you get smarter and smarter. And the transactions get easier and easier. Profits go higher and higher. And you reduce your time greatly. Right?
Well, in all fairness to you, I do remember you saying that. You did mention that. It doesn't have to. But even if your point is, even if it did, because some people don't do anything ever. 0. We've talked to them. I went to this seminar. I spent money on this thing. I did that thing. You bought a house yet?
Tens of thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands of dollars. I've heard numbers 50,000, 100,000.
My first seminar for $300 on the weekend culminated in me calling you before they threw the number at me because I knew it was going to be big. And I called you. Hey, let me learn from you. It was $17,000 for the first step.
Yeah.
No, and you don't know if it's going to work or not. And it's not enough help. I'm sorry. So even if it was 6 years, that would be amazingly wonderful. But your point is, once you do one, that you know how to do it, just do the next ones. And they kind of overlap and it's not that terrible. And maybe some people would say, hey, my cousin has a problem with this. Can you help them?
Right.
I had somebody call me from Waterbury because I was in their phone for something. She's pitching houses at me. I got your name from something. I forgot because, and she's pitching names because at least I've been out there long enough that people know I do this.
Right.
So you walk out my front door and somebody from 3 cities away knew I was in the business at least. Yeah, right. Now that doesn't mean like, oh, I'm rich now, but at least I'm doing something and people know. So
right.
Just start and get somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So where it used to be this long runway, and again, I'm not pitching it, but that's why I developed and launched Creative REI Replay. Yep. Which, by the way, if you've heard of REI Replay, yes, he's our partner. Because we used REI Replay, Sean and I, for 3 years developing this platform, and then the owner of REI Replay found out what we were doing, and we created a new product for him.
I've talked to 3, 4, 5 investors I just bump into, and they go, "Oh yeah, I use that." Yep. Yeah, the earlier one. Now we'll see it. I said, "Well, you should check out the new one." Really? Yeah, check out the new one.
Yep. All right, cool. So let's get down to how we do this, because I've been telling you what to do. So how do we do this, right? But first, I want to cover, and might be the most important part of the podcast, is the number one. Now, I've promoted Dan Kennedy in the past, said the worst number in the world is the number one. You don't want one client. You don't want one marketing campaign. You don't want one employee. You don't want one product. You don't want one offer. It's the worst number in business.
Yeah.
Except for this.
Really?
This is the exception to the rule. I learned this from an engineering buddy of mine. He's big on Japanese. He works for a big company, like, one of those airplane companies.
Hamilton.
Yeah. Steve. Yeah. So
yeah,
he does a lot of, they use a lot of Japanese organization skills. So he was telling me this story, which made me have this realization. He's telling me this story about how they have a new thing that they're going to implement. So what they do is they tell, so he's put windows and siding and a roof on his house.
Okay.
So he needs to put trim around the windows and the inside of the house, and he fired the contractor. So he has a brother-in-law that wants to put the trim around. But the brother-in-law is kind of a little bit of a drunk and a little bit footloose and fancy-free. And he's like, he wants him to wait till January 1st. And he's like, no, I'll tell you what. I'll pay you double your normal fee if you come to my house and just do one window.
Huh.
And his theory was they use this in his work. And the reason why they do that is if you just do one, it's like the prototyping. It will elicit the problems. It'll elicit the solutions. And he'll be able to say, yeah, I like the way this guy's doing this. I like the way he works. I'll have him do the rest.
Bill, I use one too.
Yeah.
It's called a free guitar lesson. And they keep going.
So my point is this. Don't try to retire early at first. Just set one goal per day, just one, to do one of the things that I'm going to give you on this list of 15 things. Just do one thing. Just do one. Just like the carpenter going to my buddy's house and framing out the window, putting the trim around the window. Just do one piece of trim and then another piece of trim and then another piece of trim until that one window is done.
Yep. Then
worry about the rest of the windows in the house.
Well, right? You can only do one at a time.
Yep. And then my point is if you just do one at a time, one step or one portion of a step, after a while you'll go through the whole list and you'll have done one list.
Mm.
and get one house. Now you go through it again, right? And then when you go through it again, you're going to go through it at a different level this time.
Yeah.
And you're going to see things that you didn't see before. And things that I say on this podcast will all of a sudden start to make sense to you, like the simple things. Like your first deal, you're not going to think money now, money monthly, money later. You're going to think, I want money.
Mm-hmm.
The hell with that money now, money monthly, money later. Hell, I could make $4,000 right now. I'm going to do it. Because you're just so excited to make your first chunk of dough.
And if it gets you going, okay, it'll evolve, right?
Right. All right. So I want to make sure that you remember I put a link in today's description to help you with each one of these steps. So I'm going to rattle through the steps, but I'm telling you what to do with these steps. The link in the description is going to show you how to do it. I'm not going to cover it because we only have another 15 minutes left of the podcast.
Yep.
Right. So I'm not going to go over each one on how to do it. These are what you should do. And then the link in the description shows you how to do it. So you ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Number 1, to actually retire early from creative real estate. So when it's time to make, you need to make a decision. I know that sounds corny. I know it sounds simple. And it sounds like, yeah, you made a decision. No, I'm talking about a decision. And here's what I mean. You decide that you're going to work Wednesday nights between 5 and 6 on your real estate. And your buddy calls you up and says, hey, Pete, I just bought tickets to a concert. You want to go with me?
Click, hang up.
The decision has to be like, I can't go on Wednesday night. What do you mean? I have to work.
Yeah.
Decision means at 5 o'clock when you sit down, you get the door closed, your daughter comes in and she's crying because she hurt her finger. Have your wife take care of it. Right? The decision has to be solid. Now, obviously, there's exceptions to the rule. If your daughter's finger's hanging off and it's cut off, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not saying you don't do that. Yeah. I'm not trying to be cold-blooded. But the point is that the decision shouldn't be changed. That's what happens with decisions is when you make a decision, you can unmake that decision too unconsciously.
Easily.
Or you can make a decision like, I want to buy a house. And then immediately after that, think, I wonder how I'm going to do that. So it's decision, counter decision, immediately. They just locked up and it's never going to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I also think of it like I said before, you make a commitment to your boss, your job, that you'll be there from this time to that time and nothing gets in the way. If you make that kind of commitment to your boss or some job, some company, what about you? Aren't you valid or valuable enough that you should make that decision to yourself? Aren't you that important that you should put that time aside and say, no, this is what I need to do and hang on to it?
And again, I'm not pitching Creative REI Replay. I really am not. It's just that it's a miraculous tool that I, with Sean and David, who owns REI Replay, I mean, I definitely headed it because I'm the real estate guy, and these are all things that I've always wanted in my dream machine.
Been talking about this stuff for years.
Right.
You can hear pieces of it throughout the podcast. You said it so many times. What you just said, how it works, you said every inch of those during some podcasts or conversations with me or somebody for years.
And the point is that now you could actually, and I'm testing this right now, or I'm going to start testing this next week with our account, you can hire a virtual assistant to actually do your closing calls for you. And that's been a dream of mine for years. So technically you could work an hour a day. You could work an hour every 3 days or 3 times a week, 3 hours a week, and just go in and deal with the deals that they have already structured.
Yeah.
It's for real. I mean, it is for real. It's push button. And we're making it better. Number 2, time blocking. Put all your activities in a block of when you're going to actually have the dedicated, uninterrupted, focused attention to work on these tasks. And the amazing thing with time blocking, which, by the way, Dan Kennedy's book called Time Management is the book to read. It is the best time management book ever. And my podcast, I think it's 3, because I came at it from a different angle than Dan, but it was podcast number 330, how to plan your creative real estate activity to suit your comfortability. And what I talk about in that podcast is designing your environment so you don't get the distractions.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've been using that. Not a lot, but I've been using it this week. And I've been first noticing it.
Yep.
Yeah, and and it's pretty decent around here, but it's a real point. You can have your life set up so that you can like constantly distracted or kind of funneled toward doing some work.
Yeah. Right now, your life is designed for distractions, but what we're saying is design it so it invokes you to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So number 3, pick your farm market. Right, like a farmer has a field that he grows wheat in or corn in. Mm-hmm. Now here's an amazing thing, right? Farm markets are funny. Just like the farmer, he can grow tomatoes and have healthy tomatoes for people to eat, or he can grow poison ivy.
Yeah. The
soil doesn't know the difference of what he planted in that farm market.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, but you have to first start with pick your farm market. What state, what city, what demographics. Sticking to one area is important so you get understanding of the houses and people that buy and sell houses in those areas. And the best way to do that is the more outflow you do, the more people you talk to, the more things you hear, the more you learn. So the only way you could do that is by doing it. Now, most people pick their backyard. Unfortunately, Dave Lindahl wrote a book called Emerging Markets, which is for multifamily houses. But the concept is phenomenal, which is another catalyst for me creating Creative REI Replay, because I buy houses. I'm in Connecticut. I buy houses in Cleveland, Ohio. Because the software puts you right there in the middle of a neighborhood, and they don't even know you're from Connecticut or wherever you're from.
Yeah, so, you have the phone number. You have a local phone number.
I'm going to tell you right now. Hear me loudly. The 2 coasts, California and the East Coast, are the worst places to buy real estate. They are the most expensive and the highest taxed. The Midwest is the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even though I still buy property in Connecticut, right? I'm buying a 2-family now. The Midwest is incredible.
The prices are ridiculous. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
It's not even the prices, Peter. It's the rents to price factor. Like
here. Yeah, the rents are, the price is like less than half, but the rents are not less than half. The ratio
I buy a house for $200,000. I rent it for $1,500-$1,600. I buy a house over there for $3,600, which is $36,000, which is an $80,000 house. I'm getting $1,100.
Yeah, it's crazy. The ratio, you're right.
All right, number 4, which brings me to the thing that gets skipped so much in real estate. Who do we talk to? What lists do we generate? And what target market do we need? Ever hear that saying in computers, garbage in, garbage out?
Yeah.
That's what happens. Most people start real estate and they're like, oh, there's houses everywhere. I'm just going to market in my backyard. And they have no idea what they're doing wrong. Right? They don't know that they're talking to the wrong people. Right? I'll give you a classic example. People want to do subject to deals on probate houses. Subject to means you're taking over the mortgage payment. What they don't realize is that probate is being run by a judge, a court. They want to close the file. They want to summarize all the liabilities, all the assets, pay everybody off, and walk away. Why would they want to do a subject to? They don't want to do a subject to, or a lease option. Here's another one. You don't have any money to do repairs, right?
And you do flips, right? You want to do flips.
Or you go do a lease option and you're going to put $10,000 into the lease option when you don't have a deed in your name. Right? So Those are just a couple examples. Or you don't have any resources, you don't have contractors, you don't have private money or hard money, and you want to go after vacant houses so you could do a flip. It's just your farm market doesn't match your resources. And most failure with getting into real estate is the thought process of, what's my farm market? What do I have available to me that make me succeed quicker? Right?
Yeah. And in that farm market, there's different. What I learned early on was that houses aren't houses. It's not just real estate. There's different types of houses. The equity is different. Is it good repair, bad repair? What condition is the seller in? What's he thinking? He's got to get out. He wants to stay. All those details. It's different. It's not just houses, real estate.
So I get people like this, Peter, right? So they have no lender. They don't know where they're going to get the money from. Their training has consisted of watching HGTV over and over and over again for 2 years while they're fixing up houses, and they don't have any contractors or any deep knowledge of rehabbing, and they want to look for those deals.
Yeah, they want to redecorate is what they're thinking. They can redecorate a house and make a lot of money. No.
And how many people I've heard of that? The part of the business that I really like to do, you've even told me this, is I like to do the renovation. I like the creative work. I'm an artist. I want to be creative. I want to make the house look pretty.
That can be very expensive.
Yeah.
You're good at no. We're not going to spend that much money. We'll do this instead.
Yeah.
And still make it come out right.
More importantly, the first problem that you have is you're looking for houses. You're not looking for motivated sellers.
That's right.
Right. It sets you up for loss. Learn those type of deals when you're making money. Now, I'm not telling you not to do those, but they shouldn't be your first deals. Keep your gradient smooth. Don't, and this happens to too many rookies, they go on too steep of a gradient. They want to go after a rehab, or they want to go after a wholesale deal. Let me tell you, wholesale is dead, man. If you don't have virtual assistants calling 10,000 names a week, you're not finding wholesale deals. These guys that are doing 7, 8, 10 deals a month, I know because I coached one of them. He had something like 5 or 6 VAs. They were spending $20,000 a month to find deals. That's too steep of a gradient. But I'm going to tell you right now, you go to somebody's class that teaches you how to wholesale. The reason why wholesaling becomes so famous, because it's the easiest, cheapest, fastest way to teach somebody how to make money with real estate. Number 5, contact that list. Once you get your list in your farm market, contact that list, or those type of house sellers. And we usually start off by doing that texting. We text them first. Now, when we text them on this step, you only want to know if they have a house for sale and if they want to talk to you about it. You don't negotiate on text. It's just, are you the owner of 123 Main Street? Yes. Do you want to sell it? Yes. Can we talk about it? Yes. Then you move on to number 6. If yes, like I just said, you now move into a phone call. This phone call, right, has only one purpose. We call it the opening call. It has one purpose: to see if they're willing to talk about monthly payments or a discount. Right? That's it. You don't negotiate. You only want to know if they're, and then you go to number 7, which is how we need discovery. Here's where we have to discover what their price is, their payment is, their duration, and deposit amount of the request of the if they request it. The down payment only if they request it. Now, that has been our system forever because we've had VAs doing all that for us. I have since, and I put it in Creative REI Replied because it is nowhere else. We have a solopreneur script that does all that for you. It starts you off with texting. You text yourself. And then once you feel like they're willing to talk to you, you start with this solopreneur script. And it starts off with, do you have a house for sale? Whose name is on the deed? How much are you asking for the house? Right? And it goes through all the questions, which is a page and a half long. It's easy to use. Right? and you go through the script to get only you only need 4 pieces of information from a seller.
Mm-hmm.
How much are they willing to sell for? Are they willing to make payments? If they are, how much? Then the duration of those payments, how long will they let you go before they want to get paid off? And deposit money if they ask for it. Or you ask them for the price and they say, no, I don't want to take payments, which by the way will be 97% of the people. You ask them, what's the best you can do on the property? And you get a discount. And if you get a proper discount, you can buy the property. Or write a contract and go find someone that will buy the property.
That's right.
Right? All right. So the magic of this step of the discovery, right, is to ask why. So what is your price? Oh, it's $200,000. Why is that? How did you come up with that number? What made you decide to sell now? Right? You just ask why on all those questions. Step number 6, the purpose of this call is discover what is needed and wanted. Right? What is needed and wanted. Once you have these agreed upon, you can then, like, what is needed and wanted for the price? What is needed and wanted for the payment? What is needed and wanted for duration? What is needed and wanted for deposit if they bring it up? Once you do that, you have an a verbal agreement. At that point, you want to send them a memorandum, because once you put it in writing, it becomes a little bit more serious, and they have to sign it. And once somebody has to sign something, put their name on it, they know it's not a legal binding contract, but they don't know that, and they're like locked in. At that particular point, if they sign the memorandum, their intention is to close most of the time. So everything we just talked about up to this point is all about the seller's motivation. Had nothing to do with the house.
Haven't seen the house.
Right? So it had nothing to do with the property. It has been about the seller's need and want and willingness to do it the way that you want to do it. You're proposing to them, suggesting to them they do that. Right? Once you have the memorandum, we move into qualifying. So now you have the memorandum, we go into a deal meeting, and you're qualifying the property and start the process of the inspection. Now you're going to qualify the property. You've qualified the seller. Now you're going to qualify the property, which, by the way, I'm telling you right now, this is the magic of my system, because I went through this. I don't have time now because we're 2 minutes over the hour and I'm going to need to move quick here. So the point is that this is the reason why I become a creative real estate specialist, because I used to qualify the property first, then the sellers later. And I spent too much time working on doing things I didn't need to be doing.
Well, why try to buy something if you can't?
Right.
If you can't buy the house, what are you looking at it for? It's like when I was a kid, go look at expensive guitars in the window. Like, forget it. Get the cheap one for now, or the one you can buy. Payments. We did payments to the store.
Exactly.
$10.
Number 10. Once we toured the property and we're satisfied with it, and it will fit one of our programs of Money Now, Money Monthly, and Money Later, realize where that is. That's 10th on the step. Money Now, Money Monthly, Money Later. We sign docs. And oh yeah, by the way, when I go to the house, I take 2 documents with me. I take a purchase and sales agreement and an option agreement. Depending on which type of deal I'm going to do, I sign one or the other.
Yeah, if it's a payment deal, use an option. If it's a cash discount, purchase and sales.
Yep.
Cool.
Number 11, now that I have the document signed, first thing I do is a title search, make sure there's no surprises. Number 12, if that is good, meaning the title search, I draft the closing docs, or I have my closing agent draft the closing docs. Everybody's always worried about how you could actually get documents. Well, the link in the chat shows you how you can get, for $25, legal advice in your backyard and get the documents. Legally. Now, they're not going to be as good as my documents, because my documents have been combed over and we've been through a lot of mistakes and made changes through the years. but it will get you a deal or two to make some money. So you can buy documents like mine, right?
Yeah. Gradient, step by step.
Right. 13. Once I've reviewed the documents and make sure they're good, I share them with the seller so they can review them. Number 15. If the documents are not okay, I make adjustments. If they are okay, I get them signed so I can become the new person in control of the property. Number 15, I start at number 1 again and make a new deal. Last thing I want to say is this may seem unbelievable that I'm giving you away all this stuff on the podcast. My whole coaching program is all about doing the sequences enough so you can retire early. We're going to talk about this in podcast number 333. Why what you're reading is wrong. And I'm going to tell you right now that the coaching, and I'm not trying to sell coaching, but whether it's me coaching or somebody else, right? It'll show you the shortcuts so you can move quickly. Also, this has been even a more powerful use. Coaching is more powerful. It should be used as a tool to unstick. So actually, let me back up. I said coaching. I didn't mean that. So this 15-point checklist that I just gave you is wonderful if you're new and you haven't done it before. But what happens if you've done 3 deals and all of a sudden you're stuck? This checklist are all the subproducts that you need to go through a deal. And you can go back if you're stuck and look at, oh, I'm stuck on number 5. And you can use it to unstick yourself. You can use it to train others with. You can use it to organize your business with, like who does this part, who does that part. You can hire VAs and staff and managers all around that checklist. It is huge. So when you review the list, you'll know exactly where each deal is. You should make a checklist that I just gave you, and you should put it inside of each deal jacket. So if you have a deal that's stuck, you can go back and look at which part is stuck. Who dropped the ball? Who's in charge of number 12? Who's in charge of number 8? Who's in charge of number 3? And you can unstick it.
Interesting.
So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you for all of your support. Please make sure you go like us or unlike us. Leave us a review. Make sure you subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Make sure you subscribe. Please make sure if you have any questions, you go to WhatsApp Messenger, Let's Talk Real Estate, and you can get the local link. If you don't know how to do that, send me a support ticket at flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right-hand side is support. I get those directly. I will answer your questions there. Make sure you click on the link because the whole course that I'm talking about on how to do what we just talked about is in there. And if you want to talk about coaching, it's there's no place online where you can talk about it. Although if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/advanced coaching, you can get an application that will come to me, and we'll need to talk because I just don't let anybody into my coaching group. It's too advanced, so I want to make sure that you're qualified to be in the coaching group. So just send me a support ticket, and let's talk. We'll have a phone conversation and see if you want to do that. Okay? So over and out. Next week's podcast, which is podcast number 332, is called Creative Real Estate Secret Shortcuts for Gargantuan Profits Rapidly. Have a good day. Enjoy. We'll talk to you on the next podcast. Thanks for your support.